Today I've got a sweet promo code for new players. That is Kitty Cut, which I'll put on screen. And in this video, sponsored by the makers of Raid Shadow Legends, we're going to talk about whether or not you should go for the Cheshire Cat, or if you should go the route that we did on my account, which is to go with a support that can provide a lot of healing to the team. So there's a lot that we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with the Cheshire Cat, but if you are a newer player to the game, then consider using my QR code on screen to download the game, or the link in the description. Using my link will get you the same champions that I got, and you can follow along exactly with my journey. And this whole guide and this whole channel is designed to help you get a ton of value as a new player and to smash your enemies. So anyways, let's start talking about Cheshire Cat. What does this champion do? It is a legendary attack champion, and unsurprisingly, this is a very high DPS unit. The goal here is to just do tons of damage. Now, with my download link, we already have a champion like that. So I tend to think that having a support and a high damage champion is a better combination, which is what we did. But let's review the skills on the Cheshire Cat real quick. Besides the fact that this dude looks absolutely sick. Love to see the demonic twist on this fairy tale creature. All right, so Phase Claw attacks one enemy. If you're under Veil or Perfect Veil, attacks all enemies instead. And you place Perfect Veil on yourself. So every other turn, you're hitting the entire squad of the enemy based on attack and speed. Then, Grinning Helix attacks all enemies before attacking, places Perfect Veil, and 50% attack on this champion for 2 turns. Grants an extra attack. Wow, this is actually pretty legit. If this kills an enemy. Wow. So you're telling me I can use Grinning Helix. I will hit everyone on the enemy team. If I eliminate an enemy, I get an extra turn, and I apply Perfect Veil, which means if I follow it up with the Phase Claw, I'm going to be getting damage to the enemy's entire team. Okay, a lot of AoE damage in this kit. Feline Frenzy. Each hit will decrease the enemy's speed by 1%, stacking up to 10. This effect does not work against bosses. Okay, that would have been a big deal. Each hit will also increase this champion's speed. Oh, so they have a speed decrease of 10%. We get a 10% speed increase. If this skill eliminates an enemy, place Perfect Veil on the champion and the ally with the lowest turn meter for 2 turns. So a lot of ways to get Perfect Veil. What exactly does Perfect Veil do? Let's just confirm. We saw, here's Veil, but I want Perfect Veil. Is Veil the thing I need to look at? This is really interesting. As a newer player here, I've not looked through here until now, actually. Perfect Veil. So we saw Veil. Maybe Perfect Veil is in here. Veil. Oh, 2 versions. Veil and Perfect. The champion under either of these buffs cannot be targeted by the enemy. Oh, that seems good too. If all remaining champions on a team have an active Veil or Perfect Veil, the enemy will not be restricted in targeting a specific champion. So if everyone's invisible, then they can choose who they're going to target again. Veil buffs are removed when the affected champion uses an active skill, but Perfect Veil will not be removed. Also, Veil and Perfect Veil buffs decrease incoming damage from AoE. Wow. Finally, Veil and Perfect Veil buffs cannot be stolen by an enemy champion with a skill that allows them to steal buffs. Holy moly. Okay, so the Cheshire Cat is, I mean, he's a cat, but he's the GOAT, because that's crazy. What else do we have here? Aura, speed in battles by 19%. I mean, the Cheshire Cat is really, really legit. Let's talk about if I would go back and get the Cheshire Cat, because I think the answer is no. So if you download with my code, okay, you're already getting Tholin, and that is already an attack champion. So we're already here doing big AoE damage. And the reason I really like Tuhana Rock is that she's providing the support needed for Tholin to do what he needs to do. So we get a continuous healing buff on here. Attack, it has a chance of placing a decrease attack and block buffs on the enemy, and a debuff spread. Seems pretty good. Defense and speed increase buff. Removes a random debuff from all allies at the start of the turn, and removes 2 random debuffs instead from allies under continuous heal buffs. So call me crazy, but I think this is a better starting pair. That said, Cheshire Cat seems insane. So if you did use my download link, which supports my channel, and thank you for doing that, you get Tholin, you could use a code for the Cheshire Cat, and you'd want to very quickly make your way into some sort of support champion that's keeping you healthy. Something to consider if you use my code is that I believe Tagoar is reviving all dead allies with 30% hit points. So you also get him with my code. So I guess the play would be, if you like the Cheshire Cat, and I don't blame you for that, then the game plan would be to you start with Tholin, you enter the code for Cheshire Cat, then you focus on Tagoar, and I started, by the way, with Kale as my selection, and I feel like you're in a pretty good spot at that point. Also with my code, you get Uugo. So let's talk about that for a second. Leech debuff for a couple turns, attacks all enemies, decrease defense, block buffs, and removes all heal reduction debuffs on all allies, remove a random debuff, heal all allies by 20% of champion's max HP. So, I mean, there are some ways to heal if you didn't want to go for Tagoar, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that Cheshire Cat looks sick. So the more I talk about this, the more I actually kind of talk myself into Cheshire Cat being really cool as an awesome way to start. Again, the code I'll have on screen, but if you want to use it, that is going to be Kitty, Kitty, cut, CUT. You can get yourself a Cheshire Cat, and that thing looks sick. In terms of account progression since my last vid, obviously you can see now I have 3 6-star champions, which is meaningful progress. Getting to a 4th 6-star champion is my next big objective. I am close, obviously. 3 out of 4 done here. And I'm on my way slowly yet surely to getting the Arbiter, who just visually is sick. I actually have no clue what her skills actually are, funny enough. But let's see, does she have healing? Because if she's a healer, she's a support champion. Heals all allies. I mean, you know, look, maybe you can slum it a little bit without having a legendary support, and you go Cheshire. I'm not an authority as to whether or not that would work, but Cheshire Cat just seems so dang cool. We are still holding on to shards, waiting for a big event. They're starting to add up, at least the mystery shards are. So we'll be ready for that when it shows up. And something that I'm going to need to talk about in another video is how I've unlocked Xenomorph, but we'll talk about that later. That came from the 7-day login event. All right. So if you enjoyed this vid, throw a like on here, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be covering more Raid Shadow Legends. Not quite every single day, but pretty freaking close to it. And see, somebody just ranked up their Cheshire Cat. See, this is what I'm saying. Cheshire Cat is so in. And I'm actually now a little bit jealous of all those Cheshire Cat players out there. So maybe I'll pull one down the road. But anyways, a big thank you again to the makers of Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring today's video. You can use my download link, as I mentioned. That supports my channel. And that also gets you the exact same champions that I have been using. Again, for my code, that's Tholin at download, Tagoar at 15, Venomage at 30, and Uugo at 40. I am 46 in my progression so far. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, you have fun, smash your enemies, and check the cards in the end screen for some of my other vids leading up to this moment. You're wondering how we got here? I laid it all out for you.